been enjoying lots of different fairy tales as they were recorded by Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm, known as the Brothers Grimm, in our textbook Fairy Tales. But we've also been able to enjoy different versions of these tales from other countries around the world. And today what I want to share with you is 4 different versions of the story of Snow White from around the world. I'm very excited about this. We will start here. Ooh, you see this dark green right there? We'll start right here in Germany with the Brothers Grimm original recorded version. So recorded meaning writing. But before we begin, I want to share some words that you're going to hear in the text that you may not be familiar with. The first being boar, which is a wild pig. Then we're going to learn about culture, and that is a people's way of life, their ideas, their art, their customs, and traditions. So in going and exploring in different countries, we will be exposed to different cultures, customs, and traditions, which is always exciting and a wonderful opportunity to appreciate the differences in those around us. We'll also hear a disguise, which means to hide by looking like something else. A merchant is someone who sells goods. A padishah is a great king or ruler. Royal characters. Sounds promising. We'll also discuss a safari, which is a journey for hunting or exploring, usually takes place in parts of Africa, specifically the East African Savannah region. Look at all that connection. Yes. Sultan, which is another ruler title, or emperor, is also what they're referred to, especially in Muslim countries. So, first journeying to Germany, let's begin. What is a fairy tale? Once upon a time, before the age of books, people gathered to tell stories. They told tales of fairies and magic, princes and witches. Ideas of love, jealousy, kindness, and luck filled the stories. Some provided lessons. Others just entertained. Most did both. These fairy tales passed from neighbor to neighbor, village to village, land to land. As the story spun across seas and over mountains, details changed to fit each culture. A poisoned slipper became a poisoned ring. A king became a sultan. A wolf became a tiger. Over time, fairy tales were collected and written down. Around the world today, people of all ages love to read or hear these timeless stories. For many years to come, fairy tales will continue to live happily ever after in our imaginations. So, Snow White, a German fairy tale. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. Her stepmother, the queen, was also very beautiful. She often gazed into her magical mirror and asked, "Mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of all?" The mirror always replied, "You." As the years passed, Snow White grew lovelier and lovelier. One day, the mirror told the queen, "Snow White is now the fairest." Furious, the queen ordered a huntsman to kill Snow White and bring back her lungs and liver. But the huntsman let the girl go. He killed a boar and brought its lung and liver to the queen to trick her. Snow White found a cottage belonging to 7 dwarves. The dwarves invited her to live with them in return for their kindness. She cooked and cleaned. Meanwhile, the mirror told the queen that Snow White still lived. Filled with anger, she disguised herself as a merchant and went to the dwarf's cottage. Snow White loved the dresses the merchant had for sale, but when she tried one on, the magical laces cinched too tightly. Snow White couldn't breathe. She fell down dead. With Snow White dead, the queen happily asked the mirror who was the fairest. The mirror replied, "Snow White." The queen fumed. The dwarves had returned home and loosened the laces. Snow White had come back to life. The next day, the queen went back to the cottage with a poisoned comb. As soon as Snow White put it in her hair, she fell down dead. Sure of her success, The queen returned home and asked the mirror who was the fairest. It again replied, "Snow White." The dwarfs had found Snow White lifeless and removed the comb. "Curses!" the queen cried. She poisoned an apple and went back to the cottage. Snow White was hungry, and the apple looked so good. As soon as she bit into it, she fell down dead. This time, the dwarfs couldn't help Snow White. There were no laces to loosen and no comb to remove. Saddened, they put her in a glass coffin in their garden. Back at the castle, the queen questioned the mirror. It answered, "You are the fairest." The queen cackled with glee. How rude. One day, a handsome prince saw Snow White and fell in love. His servants carried her coffin to his home. On the way, however, the servants tripped. A bit of poisoned apple flew from Snow White's mouth. She opened her eyes and instantly fell in love with the prince. They decided to marry. About the same time, the queen asked the mirror who was the fairest. The mirror replied, "The prince's bride." The queen dashed to the prince's wedding. She had to see the bride for herself. When the queen arrived, Snow White saw her and sounded the alarm. The prince's guards grabbed the queen and put a pair of sizzling hot iron shoes on her feet. She danced until she fell over dead. The prince and Snow White lived happily ever after. Oh wow, I like that version. Now, as I told you, that version comes from Germany. We're now going to move from Germany here down to where this blue is, called in a country called Albania, which is part of the same continent, Europe. So from Germany, the story made its way down to Albania. Okay. So, remember, this is a Snow White tale. Marigo of the 40 Dragons, an Albanian fairy tale. Once there lived a beautiful princess named Marigo. She was sweet and had everything. Her school teacher envied her royal life. One day, she tricked Marigo into killing the queen. Then she said, "Tell your father to marry me." Marigo did, and the king married the school teacher. But Marigo's new stepmother still wasn't happy. She grew so jealous of Marigo's beauty, she ordered the king to kill her. The king took his daughter into the mountains, but he couldn't kill her. He left her there alone. Oh my goodness. Marigo found a castle belonging to 40 dragons. At first, she was frightened, but she soon discovered the dragons were very kind. She offered to clean their castle in exchange for a place to live. But at the king's castle, Marigo's wicked stepmother spoke with the sun. "Is anyone more beautiful than I?" she asked. The sun replied, "Yes, Marigo of the 40 dragons." The queen screamed, "Marigo's alive!" The queen poisoned a hairpin and ordered the king to take it to his daughter. Disguised as a merchant, the king did. Marigo felt sorry for the poor merchant and bought the hairpin. She stuck it in her hair and fell down dead. The dragons came home to find Marigo lifeless. "What is this?" one dragon growled. He yanked the hairpin from her hair, and Marigo came back to life. Meanwhile, the queen again asked the sun, "Is anyone more beautiful than I?" And the sun replied, "Marigo." The furious queen ordered the king to take a poisoned ring to the princess. The king disguised himself and scurried off. Marigo again felt sorry for the pitiful merchant and bought the ring. When she put it on, she fell down dead. The dragons didn't see the ring and couldn't wake her. They built her a coffin and hung it in the garden of a young king. When the young king saw Marigo, he fell in love. He carried her coffin into his palace for safekeeping. One day, his mother saw the ring on the girl's finger. She slipped it off, and Marigo sat up. "Where am I?" she asked, blinking her eyes. The overjoyed king kissed her. "In a royal palace," he said, "I am king, and you will be my queen." The young king and queen still live happily to this day. The end. Oh, I like that. That was different. I like the dragons. That was pretty fancy. All right, guys. So that took us to Albania. We're now going to come down here into the continent Africa to the country, this green right here, of Mozambique. We're going to Mozambique for our third version of Snow White. It is amazing, really, how stories can travel. Stories don't worry about water or different landforms. They just go, and it really is wonderful. Okay, so The Unnatural Mother and the Girl with a Star on Her Forehead, a Mozambican fairy tale. Once upon a time there lived a chief's wife with a moon on her forehead. She loved to look into her mirror and ask, "Mirror, is anyone more beautiful?" The mirror always replied, "Only heaven is more beautiful." Soon the woman gave birth to a daughter. The girl had a star on her forehead. The entire village admired the girl's beauty, but the mother was jealous. The next time the woman asked the mirror her question, the answer changed. "Only your dear daughter who came from the heavens," the mirror said. Enraged, the woman smashed the mirror. Day by day, the woman's jealousy grew. It grew so great that she asked her servants to kill the child. If they brought back the girl's heart, liver, and little finger, she would give them a bag of coins. But the servants could not bear to kill the girl. They told her to run away. "But first, we need to cut off your little finger," they said. After the deed was done, she ran far away. The servant brought back the little finger and an antelope's heart and liver. The chief's wife was happy. Meanwhile, the little girl found a hut that belonged to a gang of robbers. Her beauty charmed the leader. He adopted her and promised to stop stealing. One day, a passing servant saw the girl's star and told the girl's mother. The evil woman sent him back to the robber's hut with a pair of poisoned slippers. When the girl put on the slippers, she fell down dead. Greatly saddened, her adoptive father built a coffin. He strung it high in the trees. Even though the girl was dead, her star still glowed. A chief's son from another village saw the light from the girl's star and fell in love. He took the coffin home. One day, his brother visited it and admired the girl's slippers. He took them off her feet, and the girl came back to life. The chief's son was overjoyed. He married the girl and held a feast. Shortly after, he went on a safari. When he returned, many months later, a great surprise awaited him. He was the father of twins, a boy with the moon on his forehead and a girl with a star. Together, they all lived happily ever after. The end. But I have one more, and this time we're going to go from Mozambique in Africa back up over here to the country of Turkey. Turkey, if you notice, has little bumpies here on the globe, which means it's a mountainous country. And it is also on the continent of Europe, mostly. So yes, notice Europe and Asia are connected. So we've been to Germany, Albania, Mozambique, and now we're over here in Turkey. So let's see what ways Snow White is similar and different when she gets to Turkey. The Magic Needle, a Turkish fairy tale. Once there lived a padishah who had a beautiful wife and daughter. If you remember, we said padishah means great king or ruler. So, each day, the woman asked her servant, "Am I beautiful?" The servant always replied, "Yes, the most beautiful." One day, however, the servant saw the padishah's lovely daughter, Granachin. The next time the wife asked her question, the servant's answer changed. "Yes," he replied, "but Granachin is most beautiful." Upset, the wife took Granachin to the wilderness and left her. She hoped wild beasts would eat the girl. Grenadjen wandered alone until 3 hunters took her in. News of her beauty spread quickly. The Padishah's wife heard the stories. She knew the girl was Grenadjen. She bought 2 poisoned needles from a witch, disguised herself, and went to the hunter's house. Grenadjen refused to open the door to a stranger, so the wife said, "Kneel by the keyhole. I will slide lovely hairpins through." Grenadjen kneeled, and the wife pushed both needles into her forehead. The girl fell down dead. The hunters built Grenadjen a coffin and carried it into the mountains. They strung it between 2 trees. One day, a sultan's son named Shehzad discovered it. Although he was promised to another woman, he fell in love with Grenadjen. He carried her coffin to his palace. Shehzad married and went off to war. While he was away, his wife opened the coffin. She pulled 1 needle from Grenadjen's head. The dead girl turned into a bird. Every morning it flew to the garden and asked the gardener about Shehzad. When Shehzad came home, the gardener told him about the bird. Curious, Shehzad set a trap and caught it. What's going to happen here? This was a little bit different. Okay. Shehzad's jealous wife knew the bird was Grenadjen. She ripped off the bird's head and threw its body into the garden. Rose bushes grew from the bird's blood. One day, an old woman plucked roses from one of the bushes. When she sniffed the petals, a bird popped out and fluttered over her. She noticed a needle in the bird's head and pulled it out. The bird turned into the beautiful Grenadjen. Grenadjen told the woman her story, and the woman ran to tell Shehzad. Filled with joy, he rushed to Grenadjen. Meanwhile, the Padishah's wife heard that Grenadjen was alive. Determined to kill her again, the woman disguised herself and set out for the Sultan's palace. Shehzad and Grenadjen saw a woman coming toward them. Grenadjen recognized her as the Padishah's wife. Shehzad grabbed her and sent her to prison. He put his wife in prison too. And at last, he and Grenadjen could be married. The end. I don't know about you, but my favorite was the one from Turkey. Which one did you like best? Oh, that one was really good too. I agree. That was a good one. But no, guys, could you imagine if all these Snow Whites met and had a conversation? Oh, just to be able to creep in on that conversation. Alright, guys, but that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our short tour around the world and just seeing different ways in which the Snow White tale has been told over time. But that's all I have for you. Until next time, bye.